Today, we're going to hear about AI. The latest cover of DCD magazine has a great feature on that, written by Sebastian, one of our editors. He's here at the front. We're going to hear what the cloud service providers are doing, and we're going to hear about Edge. So I think they're key points today, looking to the future. And first up, I'd like to introduce Suresh Kumar from Microsoft, who's going to be talking about cloud service provision infrastructure. Can we give him a warm round of applause, please?
Thank you, George. Can you guys hear me? Is this turned on? Okay, great. My name is Suresh Kumar. I'm the Corporate Vice President for Microsoft Cloud Infrastructure and Operations. Delighted to be here. I thought I would talk today about what we at Microsoft are doing in order to deliver the physical infrastructure that runs the Microsoft Cloud. The subtitle really is about the importance of strong partnerships that we are trying to build, because, quite frankly, our ability to build, deliver, and operate one of the world's largest pieces of physical infrastructure, it's not going to be possible without strong, lasting, meaningful partnerships from pretty much all of you around the room today. So a little bit of context. Of course, all of you are aware of the immense amount of digital transformation that's happening. This digital transformation is the one that's fueling the cloud. But when we talk about digital transformation, it is not just about taking workloads and moving them to the cloud. It's really about what the cloud is enabling us to do. Later on, you will hear a lot about the intelligent edge, which we talk about in terms of connected sensors, connected smart devices on the edge. All of these things are pumping data at an unbelievable pace into the cloud, and the cloud needs a lot of power to be able to run advanced algorithms, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of these things to be able to make sense of everything that the digital exhaust is coming out of all of these devices. So bottom line is that the capacity that is required for us to, what's going on over here? Let's try this again. The capacity that's required for us to be able to support the cloud is ever increasing. There is a voracious appetite in terms of the amount of capacity that we need to put out. This capacity needs is not just accelerating. We are also seeing that the type of workloads that are running on the cloud continues to evolve. So it's not just about having kind of differentiated platforms that are required for us to run different types of workloads, but also the kinds of services that we want to run on the cloud, whether it is analytics, whether it is machine learning. All of these things are increasing at an accelerating rate. So two things characterize what is happening with respect to the cloud today. Number one, there's a huge amount of growth in terms of scale. Second, at the same time, there is a very large increase in terms of the complexity of the kinds of workloads and the kinds of requirements that are coming on top of the cloud. So, how do we power all of these things? What do we need to do in order to be able to have the infrastructure to be able to deal with this level of scale, to be able to deal with this level of complexity? The infrastructure that we are building power the cloud requires us to have strong, meaningful, deep industry partnerships. This is not something that we are able to do all by ourselves, especially when we take into account what our mission is. Microsoft's mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. So this means when it comes to the cloud, we want to enable every bank, every government entity, every public sector or private sector company, no matter how big or small they are, and no matter where they are in the world, to take advantage of what Microsoft has to offer in terms of its cloud services. So from a physical infrastructure, what it means that we need to take the cloud where our customers are, because their latency requirements, their data residency requirements dictate us to go where the customers are present. And so for the last 3 years or so, we have been very busy building cloud out in more and more regions. We now have a total of 42 regions, the largest of any public cloud. And this means that we have got partners everywhere in the world. When we take a look at the physical infrastructure that is powering the Microsoft cloud, whether it is data centers, whether it is fiber, whether it is the servers, the energy or resources that each one of these things consume, in every one of these things, our team, Christian and his team, Kushagra, you will hear tomorrow, all of us, we are working to build strong industry partnerships. As a result, if you take a look at how our data center portfolio has evolved, as we have been expanding into all of these regions, we are looking at the best way for us to continue to expand. And this basically consists of not just looking at what the cost is, but also in terms of what the market has got to offer us. This is where we are looking at each and every one of you to give us sort of the right signals and the right input so that we can make the best determination in terms of the right way for us to be able to expand. Timing, obviously, is very important in terms of making sure that we not only deliver the best cloud that we need to offer for our customers, but also do it in such a way that we can get there fast and we can get there reliably. So if you take a look at our portfolio overall, we run a hybrid portfolio. Part of our capacity, maybe about half of it, runs on data centers that we have built, that we own. But about half of it runs on leased data centers, where we lease either the entire data center or we lease colos. If you take a look at the number of locations that we have got, I told you we are running 42 different unique regions. A lot of these regions where we want to go into the market first, we have to work with all of you to make sure that we are able to get and deliver the right capacity over there. Same thing if you take a look at how our network has evolved. We have run one of the 2 largest private networks in the world. Whether it is the long haul, whether it is how we connect different data centers inside a metro region, how we connect to our customers. We not only rely on our own investments in fiber and cable, especially when it comes to how we connect to our customers, we rely on a lot of our telecommunications partners in making sure that the cloud can connect to our customers. When we take a look at the process by which we plan and deliver the capacity as we continue to increase, as we continue to expand, working with our industry partners, there are three major areas that we are continuing to focus on. And this is where we will need help from all of you in making sure that we deliver the best cloud infrastructure for our customers. First is around standardization. In fact, when it comes to delivering capacity at scale, it is very important for us to have standard building blocks around which we are able to build the capacity and be able to deliver the infrastructure that we need. We recently announced availability zones, wherein a customer of the Microsoft Cloud can have highly resilient workloads through independent logical failure boundaries, all inside a region. What this allows us to do is we are able to take a region which consists of a number of different data centers, and inside that logically partition that into independent failure zones. Where we are standardizing is the way in which we are trying to expand inside a particular region, whether it is working with our lease providers or building our own data center campuses. Availability zones allows us to be able to deliver capacity in well-defined increments, all inside a particular latency limit. Tomorrow, you will hear from Kushagra. Kushagra is going to talk about the standardization that we are pushing in terms of our servers. Project Olympus, Kushagra is going to talk about how we are using the Open Compute platform to be able to drive not only innovations, but in driving standards in a way that we will be able to support all of the different workloads that we need to have in our data centers in a way that the entire supply chain can make use of. So that's about standardization. But standardization by itself is not of much use. We have to have a mechanism to be able to do deep planning together. See, until very recently, about 2-3 years back, the way in which we were developing and deploying capacity for our public cloud was on a very transactional basis. Every month, every quarter, every project, we would come and we'll say, okay, so this is the project that we need to do. We'll go figure out who the right partners are, and then we would engage. The rate at which we are growing, this is not going to work anymore. And so for the last about a year or so, we have switched from a very transactional way in which we are working with our partners to something that is a lot deeper. We are entering into strategic partnerships with long-term agreements. We are looking to share our long-range plans so that no matter where you are in the supply chain, you can understand what our needs are. You can start preparing for our for our needs. You can start preparing for our locations. We want to drive innovations together with all of you. And then lastly, it's about our ability to deliver just-in-time capacity. So one of the big problems that we always face is that delivering capacity requires a lot of time. There is a lead time involved in that. And in that lead time, there is uncertainty in terms of what the demand requirements are going to be. So our ability to deliver capacity just in time requires us to break down this lead time into its constituent parts. The amount of lead time that it takes for us to build a data center is obviously a lot longer than it takes for us to be able to stuff that data center with a bunch of servers from our warehouse. So to the extent that we can not just standardize, but we can break it down into smaller constituent parts, we can then work with each and every one of you to be able to pre-position all of these components in such a way that we can deliver the right amount of capacity at the right time. Basically, a just-in-time model. This is about just overall supply chain. But we also want to drive innovation through our partnerships. I'll just talk about, very quickly, 2 examples of where we have used our partnerships to drive innovation. One, of course, you would have all heard, is the Maria cable. This is an example of a one-of-a-kind, one of the largest capacity transatlantic cables in the world. One of a kind because we can continue to expand on it. This particular cable would not have been possible if it were not for our partnerships, not just with our industry partners, Telexius, but we also partnered with Facebook in delivering this. Another example which we just announced recently is our pilot fuel cell data center. This is the first one-of-a-kind pilot, probably represents the future of what data centers are going to be, where we are running the entire data center directly from natural gas. So getting rid of all the complicated electrical equipment, switchgear, all this kind of stuff. What you see on the top is just a bunch of fuel cells that directly power the servers underneath. This also couldn't have done it without our partners in the industry, in this particular case, McKinsey and Cummins. So these are just a couple of examples of how we want to innovate, deliver, and drive capacity for our customers. And the only way in which we can do that is by working with all of you. Thank you very much.